introduced in Parliament, the response that we got is that the time frame is dependent on the process of public comment and so on. I mean, I think by now the NHFC should be knowing when exactly are they going to start the process of public comment, and then when is it going to start and when is it going to end, and more or less when are the other processes that leads to this bill being presented to Parliament, going to take place. So the answer is vague. Does it mean that it is possible that this process will go on without any specific time frame until next year, December 2023? Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson.
Yes, ma.
Have you heard me?
Yes, I did.
Yes, I need clarity. At least there must be some sort of time frame given. Otherwise, this is going to be, it's going to be going on and on and on without any ending. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mokhutu. DG and your team.
Thank you very much, Chairperson.
DG, I see the hands of DG. I see the hands of Mr. Gordon.
He should be responding.
Yes, probably wants to respond. Can we give him chance and then you'll come late?
Yes, we'll start with him. Bruce?
Thanks. Yes, I think to answer Honourable Heron's questions about how we're going to change things, I think the goal of the Human Settlements Development Bank has to be very different from carrying on doing the same old thing and hoping we're going to achieve something different. Currently, effectively our mandate is to address market failure in the gap marketing space, and that area to clear the backlog of housing there looks like we need to provide somewhere in the region of 200,000 homes a year. And currently, that market is acquiring 20,000 homes a year. So obviously, we can't carry on the same way, and we can't expect government funding to be able to do that. FLISP can only do so much. I mean, I think we're talking 3,000 or 4,000 FLISP homes a year is what we're looking at. So we've got to do things differently. We've got to work as partners with the financial institutions locally and with international DFIs, and to make sure that things happen. Also, we need to ensure that there are construction companies that can do this. And in that regard, we are looking at how do we develop more construction companies so that we can get these 200,000 houses as HSDB, having construction companies that can do it. And we've got projects in the city of Cape Town and now one in Nelson Mandela Bay where we're starting to develop contractors and funding them. And that way we feel we can actually start to gear the industry up, and that gearing up will transform the industry completely in our view, and in both from a ability to deliver and also from an ownership perspective. But so that is what we're looking at, completely changing the method of delivery, that we're not relying on government funding, but we actually are looking at how do we create the models where people can borrow to buy houses, and also that organizations can borrow to build those houses. And in addition, we're looking at obviously the social housing and the affordable rentals. How do we fund those to make sure that this huge backlog is addressed? And it's something we're starting to say, well, how do we start gearing up for it now? What do we need to do with our current balance sheet? And making sure that we start that process even before the legislation is in place. And that's things that we are starting to look at now. In terms of optimizing our balance sheet, really what we're talking about there is we're sitting on too much cash that should be out there having homes built, not sitting on our balance sheet. And that's what when we talk about optimizing, we need to start right now getting that sorted out. And that's what we are looking at. How are we going to do? We had a strat session with our board over the weekend, and we are busy building ourselves towards almost being as much of the Human Settlements Development Bank as we can now without the legislation in place, but making sure that once the legislation is in place, we gear up rapidly and are able to deliver whatever is necessary. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Bruce.
Digi, can you
um,
can you come closer to your mic? Your voice is too soft.
okay. It's the acoustic in the room where I am. Can you hear me now? Am I audible now?
Yes, you are, but your voice is still very soft.
Yeah.
You are. We can proceed.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Let me start with Honorable Tushwai. I think your point is valid.
Sorry, Chair, the DG is not audible at all. Sorry to interrupt.
Chair, DG is not
DG,
audible. I think there's also echo. I don't know whether you have many gadgets. Otherwise,
DG,
I didn't hear DG from the beginning. Thanks.
DG,
I think
we are
have a
still
problem.
struggling to hear you.
Okay, Chair, let me
Now we
use
can
a
hear you.
different gadget. Can you hear me now?
It has disappeared. You have disappeared.
Can you hear me now?
You have disappeared. Maybe DG, maybe
I'm
go
just-
out and come back, or use another gadget. Do we have anybody in the department who wants to speak to any other things when we are still waiting for the DG? Mr. Ngwenya?
Chairperson, am I audible?
Now it's better.
Okay, let's sort out. We've moved. Let's take that out. We've changed gadgets. I hope I'm audible now. Chairperson, the question by Honorable Sirwai is valid, and it's a valuable question. We take it as a recommendation. They normally refer to it as a triple bottom line, which is about people, prosperity, and the planet. That's what sustainability is all about. Gone are the days where the banks should simply look at the financial bottom line. So you have to make sure that you cover all aspects of sustainability, including the environment. So we took that as a proposal that those principles must be adhered to, and they must also find an expression in the business plan, in the business case. The question by Honorable Heron is, yes, we will have an opportunity to discuss it at the workshop, but I guess the starting point is the housing policy itself. I think we jumped around a lot without sorting out certain things first. It was expected that we will have the white paper in the last term of government. Our plan was to release the white paper, which would have made it possible for us to review the housing code. Because it's kind of strange that we're still referring to the housing code when we have moved to human settlements. We should be talking about the human settlements code, because that's where the policies that inform the work that we are doing are. So it's expected that we will review the housing code so that it talks to the work that we are doing. And ideally, we wanted to start there, review the code before you get to fix all these other things. The challenge is that it takes a little bit of time to get to that policy environment reviewed. The last time we reviewed the housing code was in 2009. and that's more than 10 years. I think it's long overdue now that we review the housing code so that we can address some of the shortcomings in the housing policy. Because the housing policy has moved without, if you look at it carefully, we're dealing with FLISP. So we're picking up one part of the policy, the housing code, and we're fixing it when we're supposed to be fixing the entire environment of the housing policies. So I agree with you. Maybe we have to do first things first. In the workshop, we can also make the presentation of the work that we have done so far in reviewing the 2009 housing code. We will ask Ms. Buthelezi to make that presentation together with Dr. Sokop, who started the process of reviewing the housing code. So, Chairperson, we agree with Honorable Heron that at the workshop, these things will be discussed and we will cover some of the policy issues around human settlements. Thank you very much.
The time frame, DG, which was asked by Honorable Mokhoti.
Chairperson, we're running behind schedule on this bill. Our intention was to get the bill approved as early as 2020. We have to go back. I don't want to give time now without looking at the program. Remember, we are governed by what we always get from Justice as the legislative program. So they will be able to tell us whether we will be able to pass it on before the end of this year. I would request that we get given time to come back to you on this one so that we don't respond impulsively.
Thank you, DG. And your team, I think there is a consensus that we need to workshop or follow-up workshop on the matter, particularly because we are a new committee and new members, and it will be helpful to empower us going further to discuss it when it is tabled to Parliament. Even we will continuously engage on it, but we want to request that it should be fast-tracked so that we're able to transform the property industry itself and avail resources for those that need you to help them to buy a house, as you call it, your program. DM, you want to say something on the last words?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. It's clear what you've raised is quite important, that we need to fast track the process and come back to you. I think I'm covered also by DG. It is clear that members are not quite happy, more especially in terms of the timeframes raised by Mr. Honorable Mokhoti. And I think what is clear now, we've taken what you've raised, we've taken your advice and your comments. We need to go back and look at ourselves and how do we come back and be clear on time frames. And I do understand the processes that are there, but they need to be pushed by us so that when we come back, we're able to say on such a date, we'll be going to the community and do this and comment, so that you have all the stages, and then we tell you where we are, and it looks like what we have right now, you are not satisfied. It is clear, but we'll make sure we'll improve and come back to you. We need to come back quickly, Chair, and see how is it that we're going to make it be understandable to you in terms of the time frames. And also comments are taking time sometimes it's not us that are pushing, but we need to have dates of all the areas so that you are satisfied. Again, Chair, I think I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for the time of the honorable members for coming and also advising us on some issues. And I want to thank also the team from the department, and let us go back and refine our work and come back to you and share. I mean, the rural area of KZN, I was cut off in some areas, and especially the DG. I didn't hear DG at all. But nevertheless, Chair, I want to thank everybody for this meeting. We will improve when coming back, DG, to you, Chair, to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, DM and the team of the department. We will actually diarize the workshop as soon as possible so that members can have an opportunity to interact with yourselves and looking at the broader programs of human settlement. Thank you very much, DM and your team. Can we then go to the second item, Koliswa, the minutes?
Hello, Chair.
Can you present the minutes?
I'm sorry, Chair, are we expected to be here when you?
No, you can be released, the DM and your team. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Koliswa?
Hello, Chair.
Yes.
Okay.
No, we just see your computer. Koliswa? Okay.
Hello, Chair. The minutes were circulated, Chairperson, yesterday. So I think I will just go on page by page. If it's that fine with you, Chairperson, and the members.
Yes, proceed, Koliswa. Actually, the minutes are the minutes that we have sent back that Koliswa must add the deliberations of members. So members said we can go to those deliberations and allow members to look at them. Can we get any correction on the minutes?
Chair, it's Honourable Powell. Can we just go
Yes.
through these pages, just the amendments? Can Kali just talk us through what she's amended?
The only part that has been added, Madam Powell, Member Powell, is the deliberations and responses by the department. So from number 6.
You can take us through Koliswa. There is no harm in taking us through.
Okay, Chair. On the deliberations,
that is the minutes of the 20th of April 2022. Members sought clarity on the intergovernmental relations vis-a-vis district development model and whether the DDM was aligned to the Department of Monitoring and Evaluation framework for purposes of reporting. Clarity was sought on the unblocking of projects during the current financial year, particularly on whether the unblocking process was to start with houses left unfinished in 2018, and especially unfinished houses in Moses Kotana and KK Kaunda. More details sought on the unblocking of projects, which was understood to be 3-year program as reported. For members, it wanted to know whether the department had received plans from provinces on the unblocking of projects, and as this would allow committee to monitor progress. Members indicated that some of the listed priorities were not specific with respect to the number of mud houses, houses with asbestos roofing, targets or service site, timeframes for digitization of housing beneficiary list. For the members, for the issue of both mud houses and asbestos eradication has to be approached on 2 fronts, namely through the Rural Development Program as well as through the emergency housing funding, respectively. Clarity was sought on the issue of title deeds with respect to pre-94 vis-a-vis 94 pre and post 94 housing stock. The nature of the benefit in respect of the 40% set aside for designated groups and the measures to ensure that this was implemented, and why it has not been factored in the terms of division of revenue. No exact targets on the contribution of the construction sector on job creation. The members welcome the national priorities as had been pronounced by MINME, particularly on the digitization on the housing beneficiary list, and this would ensure transparency and accountability. For members, it was critical to have an idea of the department's time frame for its implementation. Members also called for measures to deal with illegal occupation of land and government response to prevent construction of homes and settling of people on unsuitable land, such as riverbanks, wetlands, and floodplains. What was being done to deal with the issue of illegal occupation of land, illegal selling of subsidy houses prior to expiry of the 8-year period, so-called the preemptive clause, and the illegal occupation of houses. And clarity was sought in the reduction of employee compensation, comments on mining towns, and the responses from the department. In responding to some of the foregoing issues, the minister indicated that the department sought to contribute towards the economic recovery plan while ensuring alignment with provinces and human settlements entities. She stated that the department is to adopt a phase-in approach with respect to unblocking blocked projects over a 3-year period, as it has been highlighted in the annual performance plan. On the issue of IGR versus DDM, it was admitted that the government was trying to have a single and a common plan across the country, and that there was no contradiction between the IGR and DDM. Thus, there was no conflict between the two, but complementary. On the issue of eradication of mud houses, this was a program under the Rural Development Framework, and it was under prioritization, and that there was no misalignment in terms of policy. It was simply being flagged under the Rural Development Program and was to be included in the provincial business plans. Similarly, with the issue of asbestos removal, which should have been done and completed as allocation has been made, and hence the ongoing court cases. Furthermore, the department indicated that the use of asbestos was prohibited due to its health hazard implication. He stated that the use of asbestos had been inherited from the previous dispensation together with the related asbestos with health, which has both health and financial implications. It also stated that with respect to pre-94 stock, this was not a moving target, and hence there's a need to be a concrete plan to dispose of this stock and that there has to be collaboration with the Department of Labor and Department of Environment. On the issue of eradicating mud houses, this was reported to be already covered under the Rural Development Policy. However, it was pointed out that this also requires a climate mitigation strategy, as mud houses were unable to withstand storm and other inclement weather conditions. The department indicated that people's housing process could also be used to deal with mud houses, and that it was not prescribing what program to use to deal with mud houses. For the department, even with the issue of asbestos roofing, a combination of programs could be used, including the PHP. Thus, a variety of programs may be utilized to deal with the foregoing issues. The committee was also informed that the department had adopted a stand against the location of housing on unsuitable land, particularly against unauthorized and illegal occupation of floodplains, wetlands, and riverbanks in order to mitigate the effect of climate change. It was stated that the impact of recent heavy rains necessitates the need to revisit the issues of flood lines. On the issue of the percentage set aside for designated groups, the department indicated that the emphasis was on 30% women, 10% youth, and 5% persons living with disabilities, ownership of business, and this has been endorsed by MIMEC. It was also reported that establishment of panels was underway in order to know exactly as to who these beneficiaries in terms of designated group are in every metropolitan municipality and province. It was pointed out that there was a need activism agency as well as a program and project implementation required to ensure its successful implementation. It was also reported that percentages set aside was included in the division of revenue as a priority item, but had not been ring-fenced. It was pointed out though that it does require ring-fencing, and that it was a standing item in both the Directors General cluster, which is economic and social. In respect of IGR, this was said to be a legislated mandate to hold provincial reviews on performance. The committee was also informed of provincial outreach programs run by the ministry to monitor service delivery, including quarterly reports. On the issue of the increase in budget, this presented the breakdown as well as the 20% set aside for operational budget in terms of economic classification. The committee was also informed that it was the operational grant that was transferred to entities in the form of transfers and subsidies. The increase in the operational budget was attributed to procurement of laptops necessitated by the requirement to work from home due to outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. The increase in goods and services was reported to be based on the allocation letter from the National Treasury. It was also stated that the global picture in respect of over expenditure vis-a-vis under expenditure was to be dealt with during the fourth quarter reporting period. With respect to job creation, the estimate was 200,000 jobs and 800,000 individuals set to undergo formal job training, and the foregoing figures were said to be based on a formula in terms of a framework that allows for quantification of figures in terms of jobs to be created. In respect of the 40% set aside for designated group, it was reported that as per the MINMEC approval, there were specific targets for each category. The department undertook to provide figures in writing. With respect to the unblocking of block projects, the committee was informed that the department had delayed the approval of business plan in order to ensure that there is alignment. It was reported that there were more than 600 block projects and that the department was set to embark on a data cleansing exercise in order to obtain a clear picture. It was also reported that a provincial business plan were to be signed on 29 April 2022. On the issue of the digitization of housing beneficiary list, it was stated that the National Housing Needs Register required to be automated in order to ensure both transparency and accountability. The department indicated that maintenance of the data was critical and that part of the process of digitizing was the managing and updating data throughout the 3 spheres in order to have credible beneficiary data. In terms of the time frames, it indicated that the department was seized this current financial year with planning and feasibility study of the envisaged ICT system and business processes. On the issue of selling of houses to undocumented foreign nationals was reported to be illegal. That is, such transactions involving illegal foreign nationals were said to be against the law. However, documented foreign nationals may or can participate in capital market and in terms of law can also participate in the housing market. Furthermore, it was also stated that in terms of the rural urban migration, the priority was income generation, which tended to confirm that some people move to urban centers in search of an income and not necessarily for a house to own. Reference was made to 2008 study on Danone, which revealed that most of RDP houses had been sold. With respect to illegal occupation and invasion of land, the department indicated that it was imperative to move within 48 hours to deal with such, and that the PI Act regulates as well as talks to the enforcement of bylaws, including the issue of illegal occupation of land. On the issue of reduction of employee compensation, the department indicated that there was an inverse relationship from programs to program, as well as a reduction of targets for program 4, which was said to explain the reduction in the allocation for employee compensation. Mining towns were said to cover 6 provinces and that there were 4 different programs dealing with town characterized by sunset operations such as Blackstone, where mining activity was in decline, and on the other hand, Sunrise operation, where mining operations were on rise. Thank you, Chairperson.
That is the deliberations that were supposed to be included in the meeting. Can I get any hands to, if there is any correction or addition or amendment? I don't see any hands. Can we then get the mover for the adoption of the minutes?
Chair,
As Honorable Sefai,
there's a correction that perhaps we need to make in there's something about activism. I think it's not just a correction of structuring the term there. If perhaps Kholiso could go to that one.
okay.
Where is it now?
We are losing members to our chair.
It's probably, here is it, Honorable Sefai. It was pointed out that there was a need activism agency as well as the program. What is the correction, Honorable Member?
It was pointed out that there was a need activism. Can't it be written differently? That it was pointed out that there was an activism need. I may be wrong, Che, that's English. It didn't, I didn't hear it well when it says it was need activism. Can't we say it was pointed out that there was an activism need? And there is another one that talks about houses that are given to foreign nationals. Can we go to that paragraph?
Okay.
Where are my spectacles? I don't know them.
Is it? Don't go on the issue of the selling of houses on undocumented foreign nationals. What is the issue, Honorable Secretary?
The issue, Chair, I thought we resolved that it is illegal to give houses to foreign nationals worse when they are selling them out. I think there was an interpretation about what the piece of legislation is saying about who must get an RDP house.
No, I think the sentences reflect that, Honorable Secretary. The response, this was the response of the department, which says on the issue of the selling of houses to undocumented foreign nationals was reported to be illegal. That is, such transaction involving illegal foreign nationals were said to be against the law. However, documented foreign nationals may or can participate in capital market and in terms of the law. Those that are, when they explained it was that it's illegal for foreign nationals to benefit from the RDP, but documented foreign nationals, they can participate in capital market and buy their houses, not the RDP.
Can I ask a question, Chair, just a question of clarity? When we talk about capital market, if my daughter who benefited the RDP house is selling that house to a foreign national, whether documented or not documented, is that capital market speak about that issue?
Not necessarily, Honorable Sufai. You remember in one, I can't remember whether still is on this one. We're saying that no beneficiary is allowed to sell the houses.
Okay.
If it's not if he has not reached 8 years, and there is a the act actually it says that or the housing code, it says that as people sell these houses even after 8 years, the call, the first people should be government, so that they can then use the process can use the government to continue giving people homes or houses. So the issue here, the question was the illegal occupation of houses by the foreign nationals, and the answer was it is illegal.
Okay.
So, but
okay.
with the question that you raise,
Okay.
but we know that our people, they continue to sell those houses. In that discussion, I think, I'm not sure whether it was Gauteng oversight, it will come, or I can't remember which discussion we had that discussion that department should educate our people to understand that part in the act where it doesn't give them that latitude to sell houses for to anybody. The point of departure should be government.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I get you. I get you.
Chair,
Yes.
can I come in?
Yes.
Chairperson, I was going to suggest that why don't we relook at that phrase, because it gives different interpretations, and like you say, the issue of the point here is that beneficiaries cannot just sell houses willy-nilly, whether foreign national or not. But like you say, after 8 years, and the first buyer who can buy that house is government. So I think we need to rephrase it. I don't know how, because now it's like when we say the house is illegal. Yes, it's illegal to sell houses to foreign nationals or not. It's even worse even if it's sold to people who are not even legal in the country. So I don't know, but I just thought that maybe we need to rephrase it. Thanks.
Okay. I think it was a response from the department responding to the question of illegal selling of houses. I'm not sure whether the English colleagues are you, but I don't see the problem. Maybe it's my English. I don't see any problem with the worded, because it was based specifically for undocumented, illegal, undocumented people. But I was just explaining to Honorable Sofai that in the other discussion that we have, which is not part of this minutes, this issue was clarified further by the department.
Okay.
Koliswa?
Hello, Chair.
Yes. Are you able to put it such that
Can the member send it to me in writing, the suggestion?
okay?
Thanks, Chair.
Okay, can we then get the mover for the adoption of the minutes without I think with what is important, we should not change the content of what the response was from the department. It should be the issue of the English only.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. Can I get the mover for the adoption of the minutes with that corrections of the English?
I move for the adoption, Chair. The correction of the English.
Honorable Sopa Singh has moved. Can we get the seconder? Honorable Emma?
Chairperson, I have not seen my
Chair,
Honorable Emma?
I can't
Hello, Chair.
unfortunately second because I had COVID and was not in this meeting. So unfortunately.
Hello, Chair. And
Yes.
Honorable
Oh, no,
Siyabusengwe cannot move because she was not there.
Chairperson.
Okay, withdrawn, Chair.
Okay, withdrawn. And Honorable Emma, I see you have raised the hands. Honorable Zeki?
Chair, I want to move, but I wanted to make some little contribution, not on the minutes. I'm fine with the minutes, But you know, as we discussed this matter of 8 years, I'm just thinking that maybe as a committee in this meeting, we can agree that the department must give us a report in relation to challenges that they faced on people who are selling these houses before 8 years. If it can, they can do just a sample of that challenge of 8 years, or we can take and we can do an oversight on
Honorable Zeki,
houses. Yes, ma'am.
Honorable Zeki, because we are discussing the minutes now, maybe what you can say is that let's put it as an agenda at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, so that
Okay.
it come correctly and be dealt properly.
Okay.
Honorable Powell,
No.
your hand
Then
is
I
still up.
I move, Chair, for the adoption.
Honorable Powell, Honorable Zeki, move. Honorable Powell, your hand is still up.
Yes, I just wanted to ask you a follow-up question on an outstanding report, but I wanted to ask you if we've got more minutes to approve, or can I just ask you now? We're just waiting for 2 reports from the HDA still.
Honorable Powell, we are dealing with the minutes. We are not done with the minutes.
Yeah, so the question to you is, at what point during this meeting can we add a matters arising for once we're done with the minutes? I just don't want you to close the meeting before I can ask the question.
We are not closing the meeting. We are far from closing the meeting. We still have a second quarter report.
Okay, but my question is, at what point can I ask a question to you
Now
on
we're
matters
we're
arising?
dealing with the minutes. You're supposed to put that on the agenda, Honorable Powell.
No, I can ask you any question during a committee meeting with regards to administration.
You,
It's not
no, no,
that
the minutes of the agenda has been adopted in your present, Honorable Member. Can I get the second?
Rising from minutes.
Honorable, you are saying?
Chair, we don't need to have a fight about this. I'm not arguing with you. I'm asking you. I have a matter arising from minutes, and I want to ask you, at what point, Chairperson, is it best for me to put my hand up to ask that question? I'm not fighting with you about a substantive matter. I'm just wanting to ask you a very simple question, and I'm asking for your guidance on.
There is no matters arising from the minutes.
Chairperson, I have a matter arising.
No, we're not yet there. We don't even have that item.
Maybe I'm not explaining myself. I'm asking you to tell me at what point is best to discuss that.
But I'm saying, Honorable Member, there is no item of matters arising on the minutes. So now we're adopting the minutes.
But we've just taken inputs on the minutes, Chair.
No, it's correction. That's why I've clarified. I'm clarifying the correction of we're correcting the minutes.
Okay, because I've sent you 2 emails and you haven't responded. So now I'm asking you in committee. I need feedback.
Honorable Powell, can I get the seconder for the adoption of the minutes?
We don't need your shop steward.
Honorable Powell, can you put your it's not even
I'm a shop steward, of course.
Honorable Powell, can
you are right to
put your hands down. Honorable, can I get the seconder for the minutes?
You've already got a seconder. Seki seconded these minutes.
No. From who? Who actually proposed for the adoption?
No, Chair, don't.
We've already.
Because Honorable Koni indicated that they said that it was not part of the minutes. We've received the apology. So I'm saying, can I get the seconder for the minutes?
Don't entertain
the minutes are seconded by Malachi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Malachi. Can we get another set of the minutes?
Hello, Chair.
Yes.
The minutes of the 21st April.
Okay, can you go to the deliberations?
Yes, I also
Yes, Honorable, sorry, Police.
okay, on the deliberation, the members were concerned about the narrative was lodged on why rolling out similar projects to other metropolitan municipalities. The members, the property turnaround time for the recruitment process for the filling of critical positions, particularly the active officer was suspended. The chief financial officer was on acting position, and they went back to the qualified audit reports while it had worked hard to receive the unqualified report. Clarity was sought from the property practitioners regulatory on the reasons for taking pensions out of human resource committee. Clarity was sought on what were the timeframes for the establishing the transformation knowledge center licensing regime. It was further sought clarity from the CISOs on how many previous disadvantaged individuals had been trained as executive managers. Also, clarity was sought on the reduction in the amount allocated for the training for 2022-23 financial year. Wanted to know why it is reduced while the backlog of empowering previously disadvantaged groups. Clarity was further sought on what is CISO's strategy to have more community skills and to lobby or recruit people to be part of the scheme, and how was the entity assisting them. The NHFC informed the committee that it was aiming at moving the NHFC to the new Human Settlements Development Bank, and it was its priority. Discussions with the department were underway. Also, the bank would play an important role in eradicating the problems of housing countrywide. With regard to FLISP, it was stated that the policy was not about mortgage, but will deal with permission to occupy. It was going to get into rural space and avail more housing opportunities. And a memorandum of understanding was signed with major banks. The NHFC undertook to present the number of jobs created in its future meeting. With regards to the incubator program with the City of Cape Town, it was reported that the City of Cape Town requested the entity to assist it, and the program was going to yield 10,000 jobs. However, the program was going to be rolled out to other metropolitan municipalities as there was a deal with the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan Municipality. The PPRA informed the committee that the entity was going to improve the policy on the protection of whistleblowers. It was further reported that the suspension of the chief executive officer was done to allow the investigation to be conducted without interruptions. The chairperson informed the committee that the CEO was served with the allegations, as it was not going to be easy to carry on investigation in her presence. The critical position within the entity were mainly due to the transition from the Estate Agency Affairs Board to the Property Practitioners Regulatory Authority. The board had to consider new organizational structure with the new entity's new mandate. Thank you, Chair.
Any corrections, honorable members, or amendment on the minutes? Nothing. Honorable Powell?
I'm still waiting
Bule.
for my question, Chair.
Okay.
Listen.
Honorable Tseki, can you mute?
Sorry, Chair.
Can I get the mover for the adoption of the minutes?
I move, Chair.
Honorable Tseki moves. Can I get the seconder? Can I get the seconder?
I second the adoption, Chair.
Thank you very much. The minutes have been seconded. That was the last minutes, Koliswa. Or do you have another minute?
Yes, still have 3 chairperson to come.
Oh, okay. Put it on the screen.
Okay. Hello, Chair. The minute for 4 May, which was the adoption of the budget report.
Okay. Can we then scroll it down?
You know, the adoption of the minutes and the report. The report was adopted. The Democratic Alliance and the EFF objected to the adoption of the report. Thanks, Chair.
Can I get the mover for the adoption of the minutes?
I move the adoption of the minutes, Chair.
I second, Chair.
Sifai moves, Malachi second. Thank you very much. Can we then put you said
11 May, Chair.
okay, you can then take us to the deliberations.
Okay, Chair. The members bemoaned the fact that the presentation on intervention and relief efforts to assist communities that had been affected by the recent floods lacked clear timeframes. For the members, the situation on the ground was dreadful, particularly with regards to the state of informal settlements, and that prevailing condition has resulted in adverse health conditions such as those afflicting children, namely bronchitis disorder. Clarity was sought on whether the 143 million on the informal settlement upgrading grant was being used. For the members, it was time to work together. However, it bemoaned the lack of coordinated response in terms of the disaster relief efforts. The members highlighted what it lacked: the information for councillors to work on, including failure to the exco to meet since the announcement of the setting of the war rooms. Reference was made to the community consisting of 160 people that was said to have been bused from Umlazi to Yellowwood Park and still without relief. The members sought clarity on the statement contained on the presentation on the disaster relief, not sure of quantity to be used, not sure of impact on current budget. For the members, there was a lack of leadership from the local municipality. They inquired what real-time assistance was the department providing in terms of coordinated response. Reference was made to the failure to have land cleared in the aftermath of the flood disaster. Members wanted to know how much of the emergency grant was going to be to the provincial department and to the metropolitan municipality in KwaZulu-Natal, and how much of the emergency funding was coming from the entities. They stressed that with respect to conditional grant, provinces have to follow conditions associated with each grant. Clarity was sought whether the department was going to provide compensation or assistance to the private sector that had suffered loss as the consequence of lack of infrastructure maintenance. The members wanted to know who was managing the awarding of contracts for the temporary residential units in eThekwini, and whether it was not possible to offer starter kits in the interim to the desperate. How long were the communities expected to be accommodated within the TRUs? Reference was made to NISNA experience and whether the TRUs were to become permanent. Anticipated timeframes for completion of evaluation. It also inquired as when the process of construction TRUs was set to start, including timeframes to respond to the disaster in order to manage expectations. The members welcomed the district development model commitment to spatial transformation. However, wanted to know whether the 136 priority development areas were situated on the urban edge and inquired on how to ensure that spatial development happens as planned with reference to the number of catalytic projects intensification, whether it would not be possible to have a conglomerate of grants in terms of alignment of spending among the three spheres in a spatial manner in order to achieve integrated socio-economic communities. How were the mud houses to be replaced and whether these were to be replaced with the BNG? What material was to be used in replacing mud houses? Timeframe for the construction of emergency houses and processes to be followed. For the members, what was being referred to as a spatial transformation has to situated within the context of rural-urban divide and also be located with the context of spatial equality vis-a-vis spatial inequality. Therefore, there was a need to be a clear, dedicated plan to address the foregoing through spatial planning and development. The members also bemoaned construction within rural communities that takes place without any town planning, some level of organization, management of land, as well as lack of bulk infrastructure. It was the members' view that 30% of the budget should be set aside for bulk infrastructure, and hence the members posed the question as to what extent does budget allocation prioritize rural areas. On the issue of the system of land tenure, the members inquired on how the department was dealing with the issue of those people who have since built themselves quality houses within rural areas within the concept of rural development and within the context of the conundrum of spatial equality vis-a-vis spatial inequality. On the issue of refusal of communities to be relocated from disaster-prone areas, the members argued that this refusal has to be located within the context of the unavailability of basic infrastructure elsewhere, whether the department was using resident engineers and other related technical capacity in dealing with the disaster relief, or whether it was using outsourced technical capacity. With regard to the development of integrated information system, the member cited that there was no mention of SARS-SASA system within the context of double dipping. For the members, it was imperative to have integrated information system within government, as this would assist in targeting correctly. Thus, one needs to be able to have an integrated response on the part of the government with respect to socio-economic information. The members wanted to know why the municipal infrastructure grant allocated to Gauteng was lower than that for Limpopo and Mpumalanga, as reflected in the presentation. With regard to the Northwest Province, the members sought clarity on what was meant by the phrase "a small number was affected in the Northwest." The member further inquired on the distinction between IGR versus TDM with individual versus the individual subsidy and MIG versus USDG. With regard to the DDM, the members requested more detail in respect of projects per region and what the consequences of unfinished projects are. With regard to the FLISP, the members raised the issue of willingness or not on the part of the banks to extend funding in the context of the then practice called redlining, and whether this was still the case. For the members, the district development model should assist in promoting collaborative relationship amongst the various spheres of government in order to do away with this.
By the way, you have left the meeting. The minutes. No, Karate.
Hello, Chair. Chairperson?
Proceed, Koliswa. Proceed.
Okay. With regard to the members inquired as to whether the department sees itself with a respect of two extreme, namely the process of gentrification, and on the other extreme rapid degeneration. Rapid inner cities such as Hillbrow due to illegal immigration, creeping in of criminality, hijacking of buildings, etc. Flat rating with regards to valuation in rural areas, and to what extent where these factors had a bearing on assessing funding from the banks, whether there were any opportunities created in terms of job creation and skills development. On the issue of available department subsidies, the department undertook to share policy documents with the committee. With regard to spatial transformation and the situation of priority development areas, the department made a reference to contradictions with respect to areas that fall outside the urban edge, Tulamdwana in Johannesburg, as well as Seapoint in Cape Town, which was said to be excluded as a restructuring zone. The department alluded to funding enforcement, which requires for funding to be invested in the priority development areas, and that PDAs do cover most of the areas situated on the urban edge. The committee was also informed that through investment within the inner city, such as that in Joburg, has attracted the availability of additional housing units. On the issue of additional funds for the KZN province, the department indicated that there were no additional funds that have been received from the National Treasury, and no funds has been paid to KZN. It reported that instead, the National Department has asked both the province and the metropolitan municipality to reprioritize their respective allocation. In terms of Section 19 of the Division of Revenue Act, the National Department has asked the province to relook at its business plan in order to respond to recent floods, and that the province has agreed to reprioritize within its allocation. It was reported that 922 million was a reprioritization from the provincial allocation. With regards to eThekwini Metropolitan, the department indicated that since the financial year for the metro was only scheduled to end on 30 June 2022, the reference was made to a National Treasury circular published on reprioritization, asking the metro to reprioritize its allocation of 582 million to cover any disaster situation that may affect the country. However, the metro indicated that it could not reprioritize as it has no additional funds available, and that all grants were committed. On the issue of flood relief vouchers, not a single voucher of 8,000 has been issued, as the details were being worked out. On the possibility of extending assistance to private property owners who may have had their properties damaged as a consequence of the recent floods, the department indicated that the law does not allow for the department to cover private property damage due to recent flood disasters. However, private property owners may have claims processed through the South African Special Risk Insurance Association. The Deputy Minister proposed that there should be a joint meeting with the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs in order to have an opportunity to engage on the notion of the DDM. The committee subsequently recommended that the department should provide starter kits to the beneficiaries affected by disaster, and they should share the policy document on various subsidy categories on offer or available and present the updated list of priority development areas. Thank you, Chair.
Or amendment on the minutes?
Adopt, Chair.
Honorable Zeki, move for the adoption, and then can I get the seconder?
I second the adoption, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Koliswa, can we then have allow Sabelo to present the report of the second quarter?
The last Chair.
No, it's 12 o'clock. Koliswa will then take those minutes to another meeting.
All right.
Sabelo?
Yes, Chair. Good morning, say good day, honorable members. I'm going to take you through the second quarter report. This the presentation was done in 23 February 2002, and the report provides for deliberation and observation and recommendations by the committee. And the report is based on the adjusted estimate of the national expenditure and section 32 of National Treasury. Bullet number 2, it deals with the overall expenditure by the department, which is also followed by expenditure per program, and it details expenditure on program number 1, which is administration, and then it is followed by a section on performance by program number 1. With regards to the second program, which is Integrated Human Settlements Planning and Development, this section also deals with the expenditure, and it is followed by the performance in relation to the target that they have set. Program number 3, informal settlements, also follows the same logic, where it talks about expenditure and also the performance by the program. Also, program number 4, which is rental and social housing, talks about the expenditure and performance. And lastly, the program number 5, which is affordable housing, talks about projected, spending and also performance in the program. Honorable members, I'm doing this because the report was sent to members yesterday. This is just a generic way of writing the report. I think, with your permission, Chairperson, what is critical is that we go line by line in observations and recommendations. So after, just a minute. So after the department presented, the committee made the following observations and recommendations, and these recommendations must be implemented by the minister in the department. So observation 3.1 is that the department had 58 vacant posts, which translates to 9.7 vacancy rate. The committee welcomed the progress made in filling these positions. However, there was a concern that the filling of post was taking too long. Recommendation: ensure that vacancy rate is at 0% by fast tracking the filling of vacant posts with qualified and experienced individuals. Chairperson, do you want me to read all the observations or one by one?
Okay, just present the observation and the recommendation, and then members will then come back, talk to them.
Okay, thank you, Chair. 3.2, that the macro policy of affordable housing was not clearly defined. Furthermore, it was not clear what the policy was intending to achieve in a long term. Recommendation: ensure that macro policy of affordable housing is clearly defined and has long-term policy goals. There should be an alignment of policy with the relevant stakeholders to ensure that the end product, which is human settlements, provides all aspects of sustainable and integrated human settlements. Number 3.3, that there was low spending on the informal settlements partnership grant, which led to delays in the implementation of informal settlement upgrading program by municipalities. Recommendation: ensure spending on the informal settlements partnership grant in collaboration with the Housing Development Agency, provide technical assistance to municipalities, closely monitor the performance of municipalities in relation to the upgrading of informal settlements in order to timelessly address challenges that may emerge. 3.4, that there was no performance in the issuing of title deeds program. This was a major concern for the committee because the department on several occasions was promised let me just say that again. This was a major concern for the committee because the department on several occasions promised to provide the committee with a detailed turnaround strategy to improve performance. However, the strategy has not been received by the committee and performance has not improved either. Recommendation: furnish the committee with a detailed plan or a turnaround strategy to improve the performance of the title deeds program. This plan must be presented to the committee by the first quarter of 22-23 financial year. Thereafter, progress report on quarterly basis should be provided to the committee in order to periodically assess performance. 3.5, that there was insufficient performance in the zoning of land for the priority development areas. Recommendation: furnish the committee with plans to improve the performance of PDAs by the first quarter of 22-23 financial year. In collaboration with HDA, provide assistance to municipalities in developing their plans for PDAs, fast track the identification and acquisition of land for human settlements. 3.6, that communities such as Masipulele informal settlements were suffering from disasters such as fire, while the emergency housing grant was not being utilized. Recommendation: improve or shorten the process of releasing funding for emergencies. Ensure that emergencies are addressed within a short period of time. Furthermore, there must be a permanent solution to addressing disasters. This must be informed by evaluations to check what is needed at community level to prevent or minimize the effect of disasters. 3.7, that the policy on fraud and corruption was often not reviewed to deal with new forms of corruption. For instance, the committee, during its oversight visit to Gauteng province, observed that there were several cases of fraudulent sale of government houses, yet no actions were taken against perpetrators. Recommendation: ensure the review of policy on fraud and corruption in order to address new forms of corruption. Present to the committee cases of corruption that have been investigated and actions taken in cases of wrongdoing. 3.8, that there was a lack of coordination in planning, budgeting, and execution of housing program. Recommendation: strengthen coordination and intergovernmental relation both vertically and horizontally. There should be a diagnostic report on why there is a lack of coordination on the human settlements sector. There must be an integrated policy and legislative framework to ensure the realignment of the use of resources and deal with structural issues. This framework must be presented to the committee when it is completed. 3.9, that there were endless litigations when houses were invaded. This was also observed by the committee during the oversight visit to Gauteng province. Recommendation: develop measures to prevent invasions, which would subsequently deal with litigations, involve prospective beneficiaries in the housing process to prevent invasions. 3.10, the committee was concerned that the performance of the department was at 37%. At the same time, the committee welcomed that the department was in the process of verifying provincial performance. However, there was a major concern of provincial performances. The recommendation: put in place a recovery plan to improve performance in the coming reporting cycle, support provinces to improve their performance. 3.11, that there were several blocked projects because bulk infrastructure was not provided. Recommendation: ensure the provision of bulk infrastructure before building houses, ensure proper project planning and sequencing. 3.12, that some houses were still built far away from opportunities, which led to some beneficiaries moving back to informal settlements closer to towns and cities. Recommendation: ensure that human settlements projects are integrated to opportunities closer to town and cities. Report to be considered. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Sabelo. Honorable members, that was the report of the second quarter. Okay, can I get any indication people wants to speak to the report? I see the hands of Honorable Emma Powell, followed by Honorable Mokotu.
Thanks, Chair. I just would like to know why the second quarter report, we've already had the fourth quarter report. This was tabled before the committee on the 22nd of February. Why is the report only coming to us now in mid-June?
Honorable Mokotu.
Thank you, Chairperson. Under 3.11, there under observation of blocked projects. The reason that they've been given there were several projects because bulk infrastructure was not provided, is not the only reason that led to blocked projects. There are other reasons that are omitted, that are not stated there, such as contractors' poor performance and workmanship, financial challenges and mismanagement of funds, termination by the Department of Contracts and lack of consequence management towards the service providers that whose work was not of good quality or acceptable standard. Thank you, Chairperson.
Chairperson?
Yes, Honorable Sabelo.
Sorry, Chair. Can honorable member say those other reasons again? She was just talking too fast.
Okay. The other reasons are
the observation is the observation.
Yes, it's
the member is acting on the observation.
Yes, 3.11.
Yes.
Can I go on?
Yes.
Can I proceed? Contractors' poor performance and workmanship, financial challenges and mismanagement of funds, termination by the Department of Contracts, and lack of consequence management towards the service providers whose work was not of good quality or of good standard. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Sabelo?
Yes, Chairperson.
Is it the observation, because I remember that this might be the two different things. There was a on the second quarter when they were presenting around the blocked the unfinished project in certain areas. It was specific areas where it affected the bulk water supply, like the Sidibeng area. Honorable Mogoto, you remember that we had the meeting where the issue were presented on the budget, and the report has been taken around the issue of the block project. This was only on the specific area of the block project in a particular area. Is it not the one, Honorable Sawal, if I remember well? Because the report that we've adopted on the budget, before even the budget report, when the department came in to present the block project, these were the issues that were mentioned as stated by Honorable Mogotu. And we had resolved on those matters. But on the second quarter report, there was a specific project that were asked around Sidibeng, I think, which were not finalized or finished, and it was referred to as the problem of the bulk supply. So I just wanted us not to confuse the two issues.
Yes,
Chairperson.
Yes, Honorable Mogotu.
I don't understand what you're trying to explain, because here we are speaking of several...
Chair, please note we have raised our hands, Chair.
Yes, well, Honorable Mogotu was discussing around the second quarter report.
Even though we are discussing around the second quarter report, we mustn't lose focus. We are speaking here of block projects. There were several reasons why there were blocked projects. And some of the
That's why I'm explaining, Honorable Mogotu, to say that the block project that was mentioned in quarter 2 was the one for Sidibeng. And there is the resolutions. If you remember, if you have your report on when we're dealing with the block project, subsequent we had even discussion when we're dealing with the budget. There is a resolution around that. Let me give to an Honorable Tseki, and then
Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Tseki.
Thank
Yes.
you, Chairperson. No, I think Member Mkhotu's reasons, Chair, to me, they tend to be welcomed. The only area that I want to amend, as much as there were many reasons of the block project, but I can't remember where it was said there was mismanagement of funds. Termination of contracts because of poor performance is one of them. That she's adding, which I'm fine with it. But mismanagement of funds, I can't remember that one, which I don't want to, I'm not supporting her on that one. But on the other one, I do support Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Honorable Tseki, I'm saying there is a resolution on the block project. On the second quarter, when we're dealing with the second quarter, there was specific project that was mentioned in Sidibeng, why it was not finished. And the reason was the bulk water, bulk infrastructure. So maybe we should because there is a resolution of the committee on the block project, which we have taken even previously. So, so that's why I wanted to clarify that if we wanted to, whether it should be called a block project or an unfinished project on that specific area, it's something else. But we would rather say, because there is a resolution on that, we welcome the department to deal with the unblock the block project, and therefore we because the resolution of the APP was saying that the department should come back to the portfolio committee and come and present all the block project from what level to whatever until and then give us what has been done to those projects and why they were left, and then what is the budget to rectify that. So this is an addition on top of that the issue of block project. Yes, Sabelo.
Through you, maybe
Yes.
will it be better just to say that that there was a blocked project, because we are talking specifically on one project. On the observation, Chair.
Yes, and mention the name of the area, because on the blocked project in general, we've taken that decision, which the issues that Honorable Mokhotu has mentioned reflect on that discussion that we have. And we've even took a decision that we welcome the intervention of the department, but we need to know where are these projects, and then what happened to those projects. If those projects were left, it's a poor performance, therefore they should then be, we should be told what is it that the department has done on those projects and the budget to rectify those issues.
Chairperson, it's Honorable Powell. May I proceed?
Yes, Honorable Member.
I'm looking at the presentation that was given to us from the department. the second quarter report. And on slide 55, the conclusion is that the National Department has written intention to withhold letters to the Eastern Cape, Free State, Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, and Limpopo provinces as a result of their dissatisfactory performance in the quarter. So it would be incorrect for us to say that there was one blocked project, because there have been, the presentation notes that these letters about dissatisfactory performance on projects have been sent at the end of the second quarter. So it's not just one project. I'm actually looking at the presentation, and I'd be happy to share it on the screen.
No, Honorable, we are talking about two different things. That was the performance in terms of the finances. But there was a member in the committee who raised the particular issue, because the observation, how we handle the observation, how we take the observation and recommendation, it's what members raised. And then if we don't get a satisfactory answer from the department, we then turn into the observation and recommendation, which if you want to add on that one, it's not that one was not on the block project, it was on the performance of the provinces in terms of them utilizing their grants given to by the department.
Chair, that was because a number of projects were blocked for various reasons. Anyway, I'm not going to argue these reports are meaningless. They're toothless because they're so heavily edited by certain interests. Please just note the objection of the DA to the adoption of this report.
Chairperson.
Thank you. Honorable Mkhoto.
Since I do not get joy in what you have just said, we object as EFF to the presentation of this report.
Thank you. Even before we move for the adoption, can we then move for the adoption of the report? Honorable Tseki and Honorable Malachi.
Chair, I think for us who are interested in driving the transformation in government, can we just summarize, maybe Sabelo can just summarize this point for us to move for the adoption, because clearly the two members have withdrawn their inputs. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Sabelo.
Honorable Malachi. I have not withdrawn my inputs, Honorable Tseki. Inputs have not been approved.
Honorable Emma Powell, please. Honorable
ministerial misstatement in committee before Parliament, Chairperson. Thank you.
Honorable yes, Honorable Malachi.
Honorable Chair, I think we've allowed Honorable Powell to abuse us as a committee for too long, and I think that might be.
The member is casting aspersions on my character before Parliament. Please, would you call him to order?
That might be
objection, Chairperson. The member is saying that I am abusing the committee.
Honorable Powell, allow Honorable Malachi to speak. You'll come.
I'm calling a point of order, Chairperson, on the basis that he is misleading the committee and casting aspersions.
Sometimes, Chair, privilege might make you think that you are smarter than everyone because of the privilege.
Objection. I call a point of order, please. It's Honorable Powell.
We need to do a day of election.
Allow Malachi to finish.
No, Chairperson, he's casting aspersions on my character.
Honorable Powell, I'm ruling. Allow him to finish. I'll respond.
Chairperson, it's clear that he's casting aspersions. I'm not going to allow him to finish. He'll have to remove me from the platform, and I will refer the matter to the Ethics Committee and to the Chair of Chairs. I'm asking you to call the member to order for casting aspersions on me, saying that I abuse the committee.
There is no point of order, Honorable Powell. Allow
yes, it is, Chairperson. He is casting aspersions that are not based on fact. That is a point of order.
Powell,
in terms
of
the rules of Parliament.
You can't listen to anybody. You don't even raise
because he is misleading the committee, and I'm calling a point of order and
I'm
asking you
saying
to rule.
allow. You have not even finished the sentence already. You are jumping in the system. He has not even. I didn't even hear what Honorable Malachi was supposed to
Yes,
say.
you did,
but
Chairperson. I've
jumping
called
in
a
the-
point of order. He has said that I
I'm
abuse
chairing.
this committee.
I'm chairing, Honorable Powell. Can you allow me to chair the meeting?
Please let me speak after the member then.
Honorable Malachi, can you? I didn't get your statement. Can you repeat so that we can see whether there is a need for order or not?
No, Chair, I repeat that Honorable Pauls has been consistently abusing the meeting. And I think her behavior is informed by privilege to think that he's more of a thinker than anybody else in this committee. And I think that behavior must be corrected.
Honorable Malachi, that's every member has got the right to speak. What I would agree with you with is that members must be allowed to be pointed by the chair. But the issue that of issues of privilege or what, honorable member, it's not there nor there. But what is important is members to respect one another and be patient. And as you speak, you must allow other members to listen. You must listen to other members, and even if you don't like what they are saying, allow them to finish, and then you'll then be given opportunity to raise. But the issue of the privilege, honorable member, can you withdraw that part? But on other matters, I do agree with you. Honorable Malachi.
I withdraw the privilege.
Thank you, Honorable Malachi. Honorable Powell, on Honorable Butas will follow.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you for your ruling and thank you for the withdrawal.
Honorable Tseki.
No, Chair, I've lowered my hand. I don't have anything.
Okay. You have moved. Sabelo, can you summarize the issue? There is a resolution on the block project, honorable members. And the performance, as I've indicated, is not based on the blocked project as presented in the second quarter. We're receiving the second quarter expenditure report on the, and that is when the department indicated that Limpopo, there are 3 provinces have not performed. Therefore, they would have they've written the letters to those provinces. It's not about the block project. Sabelo?
Yes, Chairperson. So the observation will read as follows: that there was a blocked project because bulk infrastructure was not provided, and then the project will be named, and then the recommendation would be to ensure the provision of bulk infrastructure before building houses, ensure proper project planning and sequencing, and then as you've suggested, that the recommendation would include where the projects are and what has been done in those projects, and the budget around rectifying the block project. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Sabelo. Can I get the mover for the adoption of the report with that amendment?
Chair, the African National Congress adopts.
Second. Thank you very much.
Chairperson. Chair, we seem to have lost you.
No, I'm here, Honorable Powell. I'm not going anywhere. Collis, what is it on the agenda?
After the reports, Chairperson, we are done.
Chairperson,
Okay.
it's Honorable Powell.
Honorable Powell, what is
Your
that?
question. I just want to ask next week, can you please add an item to the agenda for matters arising if you can't take it this week?
Matters arising from what, Honorable Powell?
Well, the matter that you won't let me address you on now, the outstanding reports that we've been promised by the department.
Honorable Powell, you know, Honorable Powell, there is a procedure that we are using. You don't just want to throw things in the meeting, West.
I'm not. I'm asking you to add an item to next week's agenda.
No, listen. But you know what, Honorable Powell, you can't even listen when people speak. I'm not going.
I tried to warn you, Chair.
The agenda. Yes.
I tried to warn you about Honorable Powell, Chair.
You can't even wait to allow a member to finish speaking. That's why you don't get what we're saying, because you don't have time to listen to other people's input, which is very wrong. I've said that if there is anything, firstly, this committee will adopt a report, and the resolutions of those reports and the resolutions that we would be then put in any form of a program, and this committee bring the program to the meeting, which gets adopted, and from there, ourselves, as we put the agenda, we follow the program as put as adopted by members. And you asked in one meeting, what should I do if I want issues to be on the program? I said submit them to Collis.
Chairperson, may I respond?
Chairperson, we can't hear you.
We've lost you.
Chairperson?
Police, it seems as if the chair has disappeared from the platform. I've sent 2 emails already. I'll send a 3rd email. That's fine. She's no longer on the platform to respond. Oh, she's back.
Sorry, I got cut. I got cut. I was still explaining the process, but I've requested honorable members, when you raise how do we bring issues to be discussed in the meeting, I said I'm not developing a program. The program is developed through Koleswa, and we'll bring it to the meeting for their adoption. And the program that we item as issues for agenda is the one that has been adopted by the committee. And therefore, Honorable Powell, anything that you want us to discuss must go through that process. There is no thing that will come lini in the meeting, because we are running a committee, we're following the procedure. Send those issues to Colisor for them to be processed. We'll come to this meeting as a form of a program, and the committee will adopt them as a program that will be followed by this meeting.
Chairperson, may I respond?
No, I don't need you to respond. That is the
That's
procedure
why I
that
have
I'm
to
telling you must
interject,
follow.
because you don't allow members to speak. The meeting is still in session. May I respond to you?
No, I'm not going to allow
See,
to
this is
you.
why
I'm saying
interjections have to take place,
send.
because
I'm
of
not.
the gatekeeping that
You have
takes
asked
place.
me. You have asked me.
I send
can you add?
1,000
I'm
emails
saying.
to your office making requests, and never once are they acknowledged or
Honorable
responded
Powell,
to.
I told
When I come to
you.
committee and I ask you to put things on the agenda to answer simple questions, you tell me that I must email you. I email you, you don't respond. This is the ANC's gatekeeping strategy, Chairperson. Now you won't allow me to respond. We were promised reports by the Housing Development Agency on the terms of reference of the Condemnation Committee that have been outstanding now for 2 weeks, Chairperson. I'm sorry, you are not. You must remove me from the chair. I will be escalating this to the chair of chairs. The level of gatekeeping and censorship at this committee has...
Honorable Colisor, can you remove Honorable Powell from this meeting? You don't want to listen.
Chairperson, I will be referring this matter to the chair of chairs. You do not respond to correspondence, nor do you acknowledge it, and you do not take inputs into...
Honorable Powell. I'm very much sorry, honorable members. Before we close the meeting, honorable members, we have been we had the letter, we received the letter from the department asking us for us to participate in the UN Habitat Conference that is hosted annually. They invited members of parliament to participate. We have through Colisor, we are sending the request to the chair of chairs, which will end up to the speaker. And then we'll inform members of the outcome. The second issue is that we were advised by the chair of chairs office that actually we had a meeting of the chair of chairs, which briefed us on the legislation that are on pipeline, which need to be finalized by the parliament. And we were advised that we should fast track legislation so that we are able to give enough time for the NCOP to deal with the legislation. And we were advised that we can, because those committees that are on public participation process, or they are in the process of dealing with legislation, we can put a request to the House Chair that we should proceed with our work to finalize legislation. In this case, we are writing again the submission to the chair of chairs that will propose to finalize the provinces that are still outstanding on the public participation, which is Limpopo, Mpumalanga, Northwest, Northern Cape, and Western Cape. So we will target July and then in August, part of August and September, before the August. It's July, August, and September to finalize the public hearings that we are dealing with. Secondly, is that we have requested the Sabelo to extract those issues that are of service delivery from the report, and as are being raised by communities, for them to be tabled in the committee for the purpose of giving department and provinces the opportunity to respond on those issues or to address those issues that are being raised by communities. So we will forward those reports to members who were at the public hearings, just to, if there is any addition, members, please communicate your additions to Sabelo, so that when it comes on the 15th, which is the last date in terms of our program, we are going to adopt the two reports, the third quarter and the fourth quarter, and the outstanding minutes. Then we'll include even those the issues and that were raised by communities, and then we'll table them through the committee, and then we'll even finalize, adopt the program for the next term. Honorable members, we don't squeeze issues during the nilly. We follow the program, which will be adopted by yourself, honorable members. So can I, those are it's just an announcement. Honorable Malachi, I see your hands is up.
It's a legal center.
Okay. All right, those are the issues. Sabelo, can you then distribute those, it's not reports, the issues that were raised in the public hearing, which are of service delivery in nature, to those members who were at the public hearing, for them to make their inputs.
Okay.
And then in the next meeting, we'll then be able to adopt them and make a plan out of them and give the department to respond to those issues, including the resolutions that were taken, which would then form part of the program of action for the committee for the next term. Thank you very much. Maybe I can allow any clarity seeking question on the announcement. If there is any, if there is none. Ms. Nekoni.
Oh, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to find out if, are you saying the public hearings which have already taken place, those are the ones which we need to put up a report on, or are we and submit to the department, or are we going to wait for other hearings which are supposed to be in the next term, or we're just dealing with those ones which have already taken place?
Yes, that would be those ones that we have visited and people have raised those service delivery issues. And then because one of the resolution of the the report is that we should actually invite provinces. So those issues will then be tabled with the provinces for them to respond on them and assist to address them.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chair.
Clear, honorable members?
Yes.
Thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.